everybody. Welcome to another mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's possessing people with me tonight?
Wandering Spirit, Michael K. Hughes.
I couldn't think of anything else for this game.
Yeah, I got nothing.
So actually, since this was completely your idea, why don't you introduce what we're going to be talking about?
Yeah, we came up with this idea for minis. I'm like, well, I've got the perfect game for Spooktober. This is Avenging Spirit. You know, that game you've all heard of.
Yeah, I only knew it existed because of SNES Drunk. Yeah, I had no idea. It actually was made by CP Brain?
Never heard of them. They don't even have a wiki page, so...
I think it was Jellico, the one that's known for it. I think Jellico might have been the publisher.
Yeah, they've got a credit there on the poster. So.
Oh, and for those that don't know, this is a Game Boy and arcade game. We'll be talking about both versions of it, which the arcade came out in 1991, and the Game Boy version came out in 1992.
Yep, and then it was re-released on the 3DS Virtual Console in 2011.
I'm assuming it's a Game Boy version, though, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, that's the better version.
Think so?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's a little more fair, so you're not constantly pumping quarters in, but...
Hey, we got to start with the very important plot of this game. During a walk with his girlfriend, the player is ambushed by agents of a mysterious crime syndicate who take his girlfriend away and shoot him to death. Yep, that's how the game starts.
That's the setup.
So,
luckily, your girlfriend's dad researches ghosts, so he kind of collects your spirit.
But you don't even, I don't think you even know it's your girlfriend or know that you're a spirit or anything.
I'm sure the attract screen has it, the story playing or whatever before. But yeah, once you put a quarter in, you're just dropped into it.
Yeah, but I also don't think he knows who the girl is. No, I want to say that he doesn't have, because he's dead, so he doesn't completely know what's going on. He's just trying to help this random girl. So I'm pretty sure in the ending he's just like, oh, okay. He doesn't really know.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
It doesn't. I mean, again, that's fine for the story.
Yeah, the story doesn't really matter in this one.
So the arcade and the Game Boy port are close to the same. I mean, you're not going to be playing the arcade port because, well, you aren't. I mean, it's 2020.
Yeah, so. That released in North America, and I've never heard anyone talk about it. I don't know that I've ever seen a cabinet in my life.
I never have. I didn't know this game existed until you were talking about it. I'm like, what the hell is this thing? So I played both the arcade version and the Game Boy version for this episode because why not? And it's one thing nice about most arcade games that I can remember as a kid, where you had your stupid ticket games and you had your beat 'em up arcade games. That felt like the majority of arcade games that you would find, or shooters, like something where you're using a gun.
Yeah, you get the occasional puzzle, but they weren't super common.
No, I don't ever remember. This is a platforming game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a little unfair because it's an arcade game, but it's very interesting. The Game Boy one looks just like the same game, but not as... There's a lot less enemies on the screen, of course, because it's Game Boy.
It's Darkwing Duck all over again.
Yeah, but it's honestly not a bad game. So the whole idea is that we were kind of talking about, you're a ghost because you were murdered. So when you start out, you have a limited energy bar that fills up by quarters, but also doesn't go down unless the character, because you're a ghost and you go and possess other random enemies that you fight, and there's many different choices for you to pick throughout each level.
Yeah, you can possess any enemy that's not a boss. So every enemy you come across, if you're not already in a body, you can possess them and use their abilities.
Some are really good, some are terrible.
They're all good situationally.
It's like one you get to pick 4 to start with, and those are kind of like some of the basic ones. You get a girl that has like a punching attack that she thinks she's doing tiger uppercut. I mean, that's what reminded me of this, that same type of thing, Street Fighter 2. Yeah. And you have a ninja, which is the best, and then you have a guy that can shoot. You have a soldier, and then you have like a weird little wizard-looking thingy that can shoot magic.
Yeah, I've never really got a grasp on what they're supposed to look like. They look like they're wearing some kind of onesie with ears on it, like an animal.
I mean, that's okay. That's one way to put it. We'll go with that. Onesie, an animal. All right. It's just like, I didn't think I would like this game. I didn't know how to feel because I'm not big into possessing games where you get to play as different characters. I know you are.
As we'll learn very quickly in this show.
That's your thing. I wasn't so sure. I was like, okay, I'll try this game. I'm like, I played this on my phone, so I did not play it the correct way. I didn't have a controller.
I don't know how you do that.
Well, when it's an arcade game, it doesn't matter because I just, I need an extra coin, credit. Okay, I'm fine. Like, it doesn't matter because this game's like any old beat 'em up, where you're not any old beat 'em, but any old arcade game. Like, if you die, just put a coin and you continue exactly where you left off, so it doesn't hurt anything.
Right.
I mean, it's a decent platformer though. Like, it's broken them to 6 stages, and you get a decent amount of health pickups. Your energy doesn't automatically decrease at all, which is nice for an arcade game because they like to do that sometimes. Gauntlet, I'm looking at you, and
unless you're in your ghost form, then it's constantly going down.
That's fine. Look, that's part of the game. Like, you're not supposed to be a ghost. You're not supposed to just go in ghost form and float all the way up past the level.
Yeah, because as long as you're a ghost, you can just pass through walls.
Yeah, which is nice. I mean, at some point I would just say fuck it and do that. But also, another thing about this game that's interesting is that we were saying you can possess any enemy. You can completely fuck yourself by possessing the wrong enemy in this thing too. There's one that. Did you ever use the snowball chick?
Oh yeah.
That is one of the
old
worst.
Lady.
Okay, for those that don't know, which is probably 90% of people listening to this or more, there's one of the characters you can use is an old woman. So you think of a basic like platformer character, but all she can do is make giant snowballs that go one direction. That's it.
Yep.
And there can be a couple on the screen at a time. So it is a miserable ability. I mean, you have people here shooting ninja stars constantly. You have guys with guns that are shooting, and here's a lady moving snowballs.
They seem to do decent damage though, because of course it's arcade, so everything dies in just a few hits. Range is really your best friend. I mean, it's just cool to see. I mean, I was just surprised to see an arcade platformer. I was also surprised to see how the Game Boy version is a very faithful port of this game, and in my opinion, much better. Yeah, I haven't played it in a minute. I played it sometime last year.
So you didn't play it?
Yeah, I'm counting on you to cover that.
It plays the same. It plays the same, except you have less enemies. The levels are about the same, maybe a little bit smaller. Of course, no color, but it's very close.
So are there lives in the Game Boy?
Yes, there's credits or something. Like if you die, you restart the stage, but the stage are also, I feel, maybe they felt a little shorter.
Gotcha.
It's just not bad though. I mean, also this game's broken up into 6 stages, and it has boss fights too, and it had some very interesting boss fights. Like I was surprised. The first one looks like, I want to say Smestron compared it to the snake from Mega Man 3 or something.
Yeah, I could see that. The little robot snake that comes up out of the garbage.
It's kind of cool. You're in a garbage dump and this thing pops up, you hit it, and it will go down and pop up in one of these other 9 different spots. You hit it again. Like it was actually amusing.
Yeah.
I don't know the point of it, but
a little vignette in between the stages.
That's cool in an arcade game, in my opinion, that gives you there's a story mode to this, essentially, where you're trying to save, your girlfriend that you don't know it's your girlfriend.
So you're going from place to place, following the clues left by the mysterious crime syndicate, as the wiki puts it.
Yeah, I mean, you get a map in the first level, but also, depending on what character you possess, they can jump or act differently in this game. And also, this game is a side objective where you're supposed to collect 3 keys to save the girl in the game.
Yeah, which you can't if you miss one of the keys early on.
I got the first key, but I never got key 2 or key 3.
Really? Yeah. So did you not finish it correctly?
I beat it and I got credits. He just says, "Oh, I hope she's okay," as the building crumbled around her, but...
Okay, we'll get there.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just watching a long play right now, and this is also one of these games. This game is, depending on who you decide to play as or how good you are, that depends how easy or hard this game was. I kept dying, and I picked some terrible humans to take control of.
I tried to get a little bit of everyone just to see what kind of stuff they can do, because like you said, I love this kind of stuff. It's like Mario Odyssey is just the best, because it's basically the same thing. You can control most enemies.
Yeah, but one's probably a much better game.
It's definitely a longer game.
I mean, this is, well, again, it's an arcade game and a Game Boy game, but it's decent. I mean, I'm just watching the guy play as a ninja. The ninja is really good, but I also played as everybody, not because I kept dying. I wasn't trying to feel get a feel for everyone. I was just trying to stay as fast as I could.
Oh, I like the old guys dressed up as baseball players. Like I said, range is your friend, but they can actually hit back projectiles too, which is very useful for the third boss is another robot snake.
Oh God, we'll get the third boss. The second boss I want to talk about is a crane. It's a machine where you're on a conveyor belt. You're constantly moving backwards. This thing will open up a little visor where you can hit the pilot, and it tries to hit you with a wrecking ball type thing. It's kind of real simple, but it's kind of cool.
I don't know about you, but I was absolutely getting Tailspin vibes from that boss.
Oh, from
reminded me of the frog thing.
I wasn't, but now you mentioned it, I can see it. But also, this game gives you arrows to point you where to go all the time. And how many games can say they have a vampire that opens up his cave and is standing there in his underwear and shoots bats at you? How many games can say that?
It's Japan, so probably quite a few.
Okay, not that I played.
But like you said, the stages point you in the right direction. They're actually pretty open for an arcade game. Usually you would think arcade games being super linear, always pointing you forward. So it's kind of cool to be able to have some kind of verticality to the levels.
Yeah, the Game Boy version is much more linear. It's the same world, but it didn't feel as open. Maybe it's just because I just move faster.
Yeah, all the sprites are smaller too, so it doesn't feel quite as expansive.
It's not a bad Game Boy game though.
Yeah, oh yeah, because that's the first version I played. I didn't play the arcade game until we did it for this episode.
And you're right, the third boss is a giant snake that you can actually see the background of the back end of the snake in the background. But again, that wasn't a bad fight.
Yeah, that one gave me some Contra vibes because he's on the right side of the screen shooting at you, shooting bubble clouds.
Again, I don't know what these have to do with the crime syndicate, but you know. Okay.
It's kind of lazy to have two different robot snakes.
Yeah, well, it's an arcade game. It's made by Jellico. Can you even name another Jellico game?
This is one of those companies who are like, oh yeah, those guys, but yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, like I like how there's like one of the little vignettes that it shows after you kill the snake, he sees a door with two guards standing for. Oh, I can't go that way. You literally have just killed hundreds of people and you've been possessing other people, and these two guards, oh, can't do it. Better go elsewhere.
Just drop out of your body and face through the door.
It works. Like, it's kind of cool to see all these different enemies that you get to play as, and the game is very unique. It's a very strange little game. I didn't enjoy the arcade game as much as I could have because of the controls. I mean, I played the Game Boy one on a legit controller, not a legit Game Boy, but on a legit controller.
I actually paid money for that. I got it on my 3DS. Like I said, it's on the eShop for a few bucks.
Oh yeah, the Game Boy version I like more because it's not trying to steal your quarters.
Yeah, it's a little more fair.
And I was surprised they actually fit in all the bosses in the game. You know, they're Game Boys, so they're not exactly in color, but it fits everything in. It has the base, you know, everything kind of plays the same. It's the level. I want to say even the levels are pretty much the same too. Maybe I know I said earlier to make me a little smaller, but I think I'm gonna take that back. I think they're about the same.
Yeah. So all the sprites look a little more compact, so it probably just feels smaller.
Yeah, because it's Game Boy, but and it's not colorful, but it was still it was a fine game. Like, it's a fine little platformer if you're looking for something strange.
Yeah, I like these games that you can still buy legit still after all this time. So like I said, it's on the eShop.
And even when they reuse sprites in this game, which they do, of course, like they'll color swap characters and you can give them a different weapon. Like the main ninja is a blue ninja with ninja stars, but then there's a red version that has a ball and chain.
Yeah, I like that guy. He can jump super high.
So can the regular blue ninja though.
Yeah,
I don't think he's higher.
The karate chicks, one of them can shoot out the little sonic boom projectile, and I think the other one just does a standard kick.
I try not to use them if I could help it. I tried to use the ninja the majority of the time when I could because the ninja jumps higher.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was surprised when you picked this. I was like, okay.
Well, yeah, because A, you barely heard of it, if at all, and
I barely knew of it, yes.
And B, you can't expect much from a game like this.
No. Yeah, I was just surprised. I mean, I got it to run on my phone for the arcade. I'm like, okay, I'll try this. Because I'm never gonna find an actual, arcade cabinet in this in 2020. So I wouldn't have found it in 1992. So, and then the fourth boss when you're in the sewers is a freaking sludge monster that comes out of the sewer.
Like Master Belch.
Who?
Master Belch from Earthbound.
I beat Earthbound, but I have no recollection of what you're talking about.
Oh wow, he kind of looks like the Blob from Clay Fighters.
I know of that. I don't know what about Clay Fighters. I'm going to keep it that way. Never. But it's a very strange boss, but it has that very arcadey feel. You get a couple of chances to hit him, and he can hurt you like 3 times before you can hit him again. And the Game Boy version does the exact same thing. Like, all these bosses play exactly the same.
The bosses don't feel cheap. Like, you expect an arcade game to just try and kill you at any cost, but like these long plays we have pulled up, the players are using the same character through the whole game. So it's definitely possible to go through without pumping in money constantly.
If you know what you're doing and you're careful, and as I'm watching this guy play, he's just constantly using the projectile constantly shooting things out. So it makes it all much more compact and much safer. I mean, when I played this, because of how I play games, I didn't shoot projectiles constantly. I only shot them when I had to. Yes, they're unlimited, but still, if there's nothing there, I'm not going to hit it. Where you're supposed to play just constantly be shooting things to kill things before they come up, as soon as they come on the screen.
It definitely likes to throw enemies at you constantly, though.
Well, they got to get your quarters.
Well, yeah.
When did you first play this game?
Last year, when I assume I heard about it through one of those random TV tropes pages that I'm usually on. There's one called Body Serve that talks about possessing and jumping from host to host. And I'm sure it's on there somewhere.
I could see this being on a Top Mojo. Oh, top 10 game where you get to possess people.
Jeez.
Subscribe here. Yeah, I could see that on a Watch Mojo video easy.
Watch Mojo is something else.
I watched too many of them, but it's just, I mean, I'm not big into games like this. Like, I've only played, the only game I can think of I played before this that had you possessing somebody was Geist for GameCube.
Underrated game. I will hear nothing different.
I haven't played it in years, so I can't say anything. I'm sure that will change in the coming year.
Maybe next Spooktober.
Yeah, I'm sure. And one thing I was disappointed with this game is you get to see these really cool dragon enemies that breathe fire. It's a dragon wearing shorts and a red t-shirt. And I was so excited. I possessed one. Fucker can't do much at all. He got all he got is fire breath. He can barely jump. I'm like, well, this is no fun.
Oh, you know who disappointed me was those like the yoga guys that are floating around with the turbans on.
Oh, Dalsim.
Yeah, basically. I'm like, cool, I'm going to get one of them and just fly around, and nope, they're completely grounded when you control them.
They can kick, though.
They can kick. Not stretchy kick like Dulcine, but...
They're kind of useless. I did possess them a couple times just because I needed another character to use at different parts, because I would die.
Did you get to play as the robot at all?
No, I never got the robot, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
They're not very often. They're kind of one of the enemies. I mean, because some of the enemies you see every single stage all the time, but they're not as common. I
want to say the robot and the dragons have the most health when you get them.
Okay. I also want to say this game is very generous with the health pickups. I mean, because you can refill your energy quite often. The energy is what you use for the ghost. You can refill the guy you're possessing their health. It's more generous in an arcade game than you would think.
Yeah, really. It's like it definitely doesn't feel like an arcade game. Like it could have been on the Super Nintendo or something and felt right at home.
Yeah, this should have been on Super Nintendo. I mean, it works on Game Boy. Like I've said many times, it was fun. I had no problem with it. But this should have really been on the Super Nintendo.
I love the little animations that play whenever you possess someone.
Well, they like scream. I mean, yeah, you're right. They pretty much look like they're screaming. But again, I think we would be too if all of a sudden some ghost just went inside of us and took over.
Except the ninja, he like summons Jiraiya and Spirit Frog or whatever.
I don't understand why every time you possess the ninja, a frog appears. But when you possess the girls, they go up, they have tears coming out of their eyes, and they start shaking their feet back and forth. It's really weird.
They're really funny on the Game Boy when their faces get huge.
I don't remember that because I stayed away from them after beating the arcade.
I mean, like most of the human characters seem to be like that.
I'm kind of bummed I didn't try the robots, though. I tried almost everything but the robots.
Yeah, they just shoot missiles. There's another projectile. Their jumps are super floaty.
So did you have any boss fights that you used the wrong person for?
Not this time around. I remember having trouble with one of them and when I played the Game Boy, where I had to let myself die and go back through the stage and get someone else, but I can't place of who I needed or which boss it was even.
Okay, for me it was a stage... I didn't die, I just forced myself through it. The stage 4 boss is a giant snake, again, looking thingy that's floating around the screen with a cyclops head. Let's think of ghouls and ghosts. And I had the vampire. And the vampire, he shoots two projectile bats that shoot up. And he's a decent character, but when you're fighting something that's moving constantly and is not on a lower plane, I could never hit him. Because if you jump, the vampire cannot shoot the bats while jumping.
Oh, yeah, that would make things difficult.
Yeah, and I was playing on the arcade, so I couldn't just go and, redo the level. I was stuck with this guy.
Oof.
I had died so many times.
Yeah, we should point out that when you're in a boss battle and you die, or you lose all your energy, your character doesn't have a life bar, just the energy bar. So when you die, you put in another quarter, you just fill back up with the character you have.
Which is, it's cool, but at the same time... when you have the wrong character, like I did, because this enemy stays above majority of the time, and you have to jump to hit him, and he only comes down once in a while, and I had to literally wait for that perfect time to hit him. It was terrible. It was miserable experience fighting him.
He is a wiggly worm.
And it wasn't the game's fault. It was my fault for picking and that's why I didn't like the fact that I had choice. Like, I didn't want choice. I'm like, just give me a character and fight. But it's cool that this game gives you that choice. Even though I didn't like it and did not take advantage of it, the game is nice enough to do it.
Yeah, I suppose you would probably know what you're getting into before you put in a quarter to know if it's going to be something you're into or not.
There's some cool little screens. Like, there's one after you finish stage 4 where it shows a girl tied up on a mattress, and it has like hands creeping towards her, and then because you're trying to rescue this girl the whole time. No, stage 5. But it's just strange.
In case you didn't get that yet, it is a strange game.
Mm-hmm. I would have never played it. It wasn't for you, forcing me to. But I, as I've said before, I gotta say, it is nice to have an arcade game with lots of power-ups and lots of health pickups throughout the game instead of just, here, you need health? Put a quarter in.
Yeah, it is a nice change of pace, even though the game's still hard.
The Game Boy version's not that hard except for the final boss. But we'll get there. I didn't have a huge problem with the Game Boy game. Even though it's a smaller screen, the levels feel just fine. The amount of enemies feels just fine for the size of the screen you're dealing with it. And I mean, yes, I've used save states because it's me, but I could have probably been all right if I didn't. I probably could eventually did it.
I would imagine it's the same. Like I said earlier, the difference between the NES Darkwing Duck and the Game Boy one, just the little fewer amount of enemies make it so much more manageable and less of a hair-pulling experience.
And one thing we should mention, they did use the same sprites as I was saying before for some of the characters, but then they also changed their abilities. Like, there's one where you have a soldier with a machine gun, and then you also have a soldier throwing grenades, which are terrible, but you get those different options.
I think there's one that shoots rockets, too.
There is.
Yeah.
Never used them, though. You don't see them often enough that I ever possessed them.
His rockets actually home in, too, I want to say.
There's a few rocket shooting things, but I never used any of them because I just didn't die at the right time to use them.
Yeah, you do have to be kind of strategic about it because you can't just drop out of a body and get into a new one. You have to actually lose all of your health before it'll give you the option.
And I want to say you will lose some energy just for losing a body, too. Even before you start losing energy automatically as you're trying to possess a new body.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain.
Because, again, you're in a spirit that can't survive on its own, which makes sense.
I think Geist did the same thing. No, that can't make any sense because you don't possess people for long stretches.
Trying to steal your quarters.
Yeah, that's fair, too.
There's also a soldier with a laser cannon.
Oh,
I never saw before. I'm watching a long play, and that's where he got to. I'm trying to think what else we should talk about this game. We should mention about the keys. So we were saying before, there are 3 keys you can collect to get the true ending of this game. And they're all kind of hidden. The first one, the game just kind of gives you, but 2 and 3 are kind of hidden.
Yeah, the first one's in the second level.
Yep, and then the next one isn't until level 5, I want to say, when you're in a maze.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what the guy did that I'm watching.
So whatever level has the Cyclops worm thing.
5.
Yeah, there you go.
And
the last one.
To get the last key, you got to do something special?
You got to hit these blocks that are littered around this one room. Okay, so you go in this room, there's this ladder. My first instinct is go up the ladder, and it takes you to where the girl is being held. You find the locked door. It's like, well, key 1 and 2 went in, but I don't have a third one, so the door doesn't open. So you go back in this giant-ass room, and scattered throughout it are 5 blocks that spell out the word ghost, of all things. So you got to go through and hit each of them, not in order, thankfully. And then that opens up a door in the bottom left corner, and that's where the third key is.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
A little bit.
It's an arcade game.
It's kind of funny because the rest of the game isn't that open. You don't spend a whole lot of time in these single rooms.
No, you move through the levels pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. So it's a strange change of pace.
Yeah, and then the final boss of this game is Dr. Wily. I'm just kidding. But it looks like it felt like Dr. Wily. You must have got Dr. Wily vibes too, I'm assuming, right?
So you didn't get to open the door, right? You didn't get to save the girl?
I put the one key in, and then he left.
So if you open all 3, you actually possess the girl and use her to fight the last boss.
Oh?
Yeah.
Is she cool?
She's pretty cool. Okay. She shoots lasers super fast.
Okay, I had to cheat on the Game Boy version because I was already cheating using save state, but I literally had to put cheat codes in because I just could not dodge his homing rockets on Game Boy.
There are cheat codes?
There is when you're using an emulator, sir.
Oh, I gotcha.
I mean, I wasn't playing this legit. I mean, would I buy a copy of this on Game Boy if I found it for cheap? Oh yeah, 100%. I'd like to have this in my collection.
Somehow I've never looked for it in the used game shops. I never even thought about it.
It's not cheap. I'm pretty sure.
Let's pull that up real quick. Let's see what eBay has to say.
I want to say it's probably over 50. So it's just one of those rare games that didn't do,
do
well.
You wanna raise that up a little bit?
100?
A little more.
Wow, 150?
Cheapest one I see is $175.
Wow.
$425 complete in box.
Okay, emulate this game, buddy. Okay, so if you do get all 3 keys, as you were saying, you get the girl, and I'm watching the long play right now. Wow, yeah, she is freaking good. That's the way to fight this final boss.
She's pretty cool looking.
So the final boss, as I kind of joked before, is Dr. Wily. What it is, it's a mad scientist that thinks he's Big Boss, driving a
with the eye patch. Yeah,
driving a duck mobile thing.
More or less, yeah. It's just this like red duck-looking hover car with claws on the front of it. What the hell is this thing?
It shoots homing rockets at you. And wow, I just gotta say, when you have the girl, he dies like instantly. Without the girl, it ain't instant. I'll tell you that.
See, I went past the door before I got the 3rd key because I'm like, well, crap, I missed it, so I'll just go to the end. And there's this big chasm there. I was like, well, how do I get across this? And that's when I turned around. I didn't realize that it makes the little hover platforms no matter who you are.
And this game has 2 endings. So the ending I got was the spirit is all sad as the building blows up, and he's like, I hope she's okay. Yeah, the girl's locked in a room when the building blew up. I'm sure she's okay, Ghost.
She's fine. You'll see her soon as an adult. As a ghost.
And if you get all the keys and rescue her, then you see her standing in the meadow all happy and alive, and you're dead anyway.
It's kind of sad, because like the way I took it is you're still the spirit possessing her, and he's saying, I'm lucky to have this chance to say goodbye to the world, because like after the fact, just assume that he disappears.
Yeah, I took it as he dies either way.
Yeah, I mean, he dies at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, but I mean, I took it that he died a second time. The spirit is gone.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, they did make the spirit look really cute, though. He's a really happy-looking ghost on the cover of this. On the cover of the arcade machine, the cover of the Game Boy game in America is a mafia guy.
It's very Dick Tracy.
I don't get it, because this game, it's just, the Japanese cover is a ghost with a bunch of different enemies you can possess throughout the game, which will probably be the cover art for this. And I just don't get it.
It's also called Phantasm in Japan, apparently.
Okay, I'll buy it.
That guy is straight up Dick Tracy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, the European cover. Sorry, not the European cover is the one that will be the cover of this episode and looks a lot cooler. It's more fitting. The American cover is terrible. This is another aspect of terrible American art for a game.
It does not give you any credence to what the game is at all.
Like Mega Man 1.
Oh man, it's on par. Bad. On par with Mega Man 1.
Yeah, because Mega Man, the guy who uses a gun, not an arm cannon, but a gun.
Yeah, they didn't get that wrong once, but twice. Mega Man 2 is the same way.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah, the Europe box art is way better.
Mm-hmm. European and Japanese are way better.
What the hell? Way to go, Jellico.
All right, I think we should go to any last things you want to say about this game?
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know what else there is to touch on. I think we covered it pretty well. There's not a whole lot to it, sadly.
Oh, and apparently this game is on iOS too, but I can't check because I don't have a shitty Apple. So, but supposedly it's on iOS. So if you're hankering to try it, you should play it. You should play the Game Boy version, or if you had the ability to play the arcade version. I'm assuming it's just the Game Boy version on iOS, though.
Yeah, more likely.
You could check for me.
Yeah. Like, I don't care. Over here.
All right, let's go to Shelf or Box, and I'll go first. I had no idea what I was going to think of this game. I was like, okay, I'll try it, and I ended up enjoying both of them. I mean, the arcade is an arcade game. It eats your quarters. It felt a little. I mean, again, I played it wrong. And the fact that I can choose my own character and I screwed up and picked the wrong character and I didn't enjoy the game as much, but that's not the game's fault. That's my fault for not paying more attention to who I was picking.
It gives you replayability so you can go back through it again.
Yeah, I'll never play this game again. Never. I played it twice. I'm good. Never again. I do kind of want to get the girl, though, because the girl is way better.
Oh, iOS is actually the arcade version.
Oh, okay. So that's cool. So if you want to play the arcade version, you can get it on iOS.
Allegedly. I searched for it and nothing came up, so...
Oh.
Maybe.
It's not an iOS anymore. Maybe, well, no, you're right. On the platform thing on Wiki, it doesn't even have iOS. Somewhere else at iOS. Well, maybe it was on iOS and they took it off. Yeah, well, there's other ways to get it on the internet, so play it any way you can, because it's worth playing. And if you want to play the Game Boy version, play the 3DS version. And I'm going to put this on the shelf, both of them, because I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to play it, and it was a fun game.
Awesome.
How about you, Mike?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely going on the shelf. As we've said multiple times, this is kind of my shtick. I love any game that lets you possess pretty much anything. Thinking Haunting starring Poltergeist on the Genesis. You play that one?
I never
play as a ghost trying to scare a family out, and you kind of jump into furniture around, and it does grotesque things to scare them. It's kind of awesome.
I feel like that's going to be on the show at some point, huh?
It's entirely possible. Might make another good mini.
Maybe.
But yeah, like Mike said, if you got a 3DS, jump on there on the eShop. I want to say it's $3 or $4, and it's absolutely worth it, even if it's only a half an hour long. But it's definitely worth checking out.
And if you want to play the arcade version, apparently the only way to play it, because it was released in 2010 on iOS, but I guess it's not there anymore.
That's a bummer.
So find other ways to play it.
The internet's a magical place.
All right, and I think that about wraps up this little mini that went a little bit longer than I expected, but hey. And if you enjoyed what you heard, we have other minis for you to listen to. We have other regular episodes that we do every week. We do comic episodes. We do movie episodes. We're currently going through the MCU, and there should be a few of those for you to go listen to right now. So definitely check those out. And I want to give an awesome shout out to our awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Bubby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney from his EP Bite the Bullet, Songs the Cool Kid Squad. And if you enjoyed this episode, tell someone. Let other people know you enjoyed this show. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where I'm constantly posting images and updates with the what's going on with the show. And we will see you guys all next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.